Does it feel like you're running on empty? Does it feel like you've lost all sense of self? Have you forgotten who you truly are and what you truly enjoy because you keep saying yes to others and not saying yes to yourself? Oftentimes when we're in codependent relationship dynamics, we can put so much of ourselves into others that we forget who we truly are. We forget what we want. We actually lose a part of our personality because we're locked into somebody else's life. And this is what happens when we're in unhealthy relationship dynamics. We become codependent on others and they become codependent on us, and we just lose who we are. But it's time to take your life back and time to start living for you again. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. We can get into any kind of a codependent relationship. It can be a family dynamic, it can be a work relationship, it can be a romantic relationship, or it could be a friendship. We can lose ourselves in others because we're seeking that validation. We want to be loved, we want to be needed, and this can turn into an obsession. And sometimes these codependent relationships can go both ways. We end up putting all of our energy into helping somebody else, but that person in turn then gets codependent on us. So like there's two sides of it really. Like you could actually get to a stage where you need to be needed, or you get to the stage where you get dependent on another person for what they do for you. I'm going to give a few examples in a minute. Like it's happened to me in many ways, and like narcissistic relationships especially can have this uneven dynamic, and you can actually lose every part of who you are, and we can go through this toxic dynamic in relationships, romantic relationships, narcissistic relationships, and then afterwards we're actually more prone to become codependent on families and friends because of that wounding that we suffered. And why do we even do it in the first place? It's that inner child wounding. The reason I attached to a narcissistic ex was because I was my inner child wounding. She was craving to be loved, and I sought out what looked like love, and I became codependent. And the thing is with a narcissist especially, so I'll start with the narcissist first. So with a narcissistic relationship, for me personally, the narcissist seeks to gain control. They will mold you into their little puppet. And that's exactly what happened with me. I turned into a codependent, childlike version of myself. I had a brain. I have a brain. But I was an intelligent person. I lived on my own at 19 years of age. I moved out of home. My dad's when I was 18. I was living with friends. At 19 years of age, I lived alone. I was an independent woman very, very, very early. And I had a fucking brain. I used my brain, and, I was clever. I am clever. But I can safely say, while I was within that 8-year narcissistic relationship, I became fucking stupid. And that's a fact. My brain, if you don't use your brain stops working. In codependent relationships, you stop using your brain because the other person is literally dictating your life. The other person is controlling your life. So not only did I lose the capacity to use my brain, I lost my personality. Because in that relationship, I was so seeking that validation, seeking to be loved, and his narcissistic abuse depleted everything about me. I lost my voice because I was too afraid to speak up because, in case he left. This fear of being on my own. And that's another thing, I had that previous. Well, I didn't have that previous. I lived on my own. So I obviously didn't have a fear of being on my own. I loved actually spending time on my own. I spent most of my teenage years alone in my bedroom, if I wasn't with friends. I did love my own space. But when I was, after being in that relationship for so long, I could not be without him. I would actually have these panics when we were separate. These massive fears when we were separate. Doing anything on my own was so scary. And, even just the simple thing of, I remember it got so bad. I forgot how to cook. I forgot that I could cook. And I forgot how to do DIY. I grew up working with my dad, doing timber floor and tiling, all that kind of stuff. I grew up on a farm as well. So I had capabilities other than just, book smarts or whatever it was. I knew I had street smarts as well. I was clever. But because he controlled me into something that molded me into something I wasn't, I became so dependent on him for everything. The simple thing of butter and a slice of bread, I'd be shaking nearly going, is that okay? Did I do that right? That was how bad it got. But like, I look back now and I can safely say, because I wasn't using my brain because somebody else was living I was living the life that he dictated. I can safely say I was fucking stupid back in my 20s. It took me a long time to really get my brain back. It really did. You know, and I kept being codependent on my dad after that, and codependent on male friends. It was like, will you hang the picture for me? I can hang my own fucking pictures. I started to remember I could do DIY. I built a fence out the back on my own. I started hanging my own fucking pictures, built a bar, all this kind of stuff I started to do on my own. And I started to realize, oh my God, I used to do this before. I forgot. Then I had this belief that I couldn't cook at all. And, you know, so every time I tried to cook, I'd fail because I was so fucking nervous about it. And then I started getting flashbacks. And I was like, I do know how to cook. I do know how to, I cooked that time. And I was like, oh my God, I can cook. But I actually forgot because I was so dependent on him. I forgot I had any capabilities of doing anything. Now, move forward a few years, I ended up being codependent on my dad. Now, I'm going to describe different scenarios of friendships and family members as well. So because I was so wounded after certain dynamics, those toxic relationships, I had to walk away from friends as well, I became codependent on my dad. And I remember now, like I used to go to my dad's and I would feel like a child. I would act like a child because he treated me like a child. You know, I'd be eating sweets flat out, I'd be leaving a mess everywhere, and then he'd be giving out to me for leaving the mess, and I'd leave the mess because I knew he'd pick up after me. And I just remember, this snap one day, and I was like, oh my God, every time I come here, I act like a fucking child because he treats me like a fucking child. You know what I mean? And I let him treat me like a child. So therefore, I was dependent on him for certain things as well. And this can really happen. This can happen in friendship dynamics as well. You know what I mean? Like, you know, becoming codependent on a friend and, you know, for money or for support. Like I had to stand back and say, oh my God, like, you know, I need to walk away from these people. I'm not fending for myself. You know, because I'm being allowed to not fend for myself, if you get me. So, like, you know, if you're living back with a parent after being in a relationship for so long, a toxic relationship especially, you can actually your inner child will be re-wounded from all the stuff that you went through. And this will lead you to latch onto something else. So you can end up doing everything for your parent again because you seek that validation. But you also, the fear of being alone comes in as well. So like this happened with my dad again, after I'd walked away from all my friends for reasons. And like it got to the stage where I ended up trying to do everything for him and losing all sense of my own life. My life was left on the back burner because I was living his life for him. Like I felt like I needed to help him all the time. He didn't need my help. I just felt obligated. And in doing so, in doing everything for my dad, I forgot to live myself. Everything, like my health depleted, my personality left again. And that's another massive one with codependent relationships. Your personality goes to shit because you're literally walking on eggshells around these people, living the life that they want and they mold. And you literally you just keep going smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And it also gets to the stage where you feel it's like this addiction to needing to be needed. And I've seen this. Oh, my God, I've seen this. I'll describe this as well. So like this could be the parent or the child or the adult, because oftentimes this happens as adults, or it could be a partnership. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be volatile. But I've seen it, right? Like for example, you know, I knew a couple of years ago and so she was always trying to get him to work and he wasn't working and he was trying to get a job. But because of her obsession with being needed, she put him into a kind of a position where he didn't have the confidence to go out and seek work because she kept nagging about it. But then when he finally did get a job, she got angry. Why did she get angry? Because he didn't need her anymore. Didn't need her as much anymore. And this is what happens. You know what I mean? Like, the controller in a sense, gets so dependent on the person needing them that when the person escapes, and like I was actually codependent on her at one stage as well. And when I started to leave, she started to get a little bit volatile. And I was just like, I just don't need you anymore. I'm independent. I can handle my own shit. And it was just like, it was like this uneasy energy because that person is craving you to need them. What I mean by that is like that person gets actually, like it's a two-way street. You get so dependent on needing their help. They get so dependent on you needing their help that if you don't need their help anymore, they get angry. It's the same with a narcissistic relationship. It's just like, oh my God, you need me. But what I know I keep kind of going all around here, but I'm trying to remember all the things that actually happen when we're in a codependent relationship of any kind. We do lose all sense of self. And the thing is as well, especially if it works both ways. It's like whether it's a romantic relationship or a parent-child relationship or a parent-adult-child relationship, whatever. Because this happened, all of them have happened for me. You get so dependent on that other person doing things for you as well. Like, it can go both ways. Like, for me and my dad, like, I was doing things for him, but he was doing things for me, and I got dependent on him for doing things for me, and he got dependent on me for doing things for him. And it was just like, literally, the two of us were living each other's lives and losing our sense of self. We couldn't actually do things on our own. We had a fear, both. I ended up developing a fear, like he had a fear of it as well, of doing anything alone. It was like, I need you here for support. And I started to be afraid to leave my house on my own. It got to that bad. So you end up getting to the stage where you're actually afraid to live your life. You're afraid to do anything alone. You become so fearful of trying new things that you just go back in your bubble. And you're like, oh no, I need to do this for this person. I need to do this for this person. And you're like, you actually just completely forget who you are and what you want. But it actually develops this fear because you start to lack self-confidence. That's another one. You lack the confidence in yourself to be able to do things alone. This is the thing. This is why I think it's so important to move out of home at 18 years of age, because you need to start finding yourself. I was working with people. I was in my early 30s at the time, and these people were in their, no, I was a little bit younger, I think. Yeah, I was younger than these people, and they were in their early 30s. And, well, actually, there was ones in their 20s as well, which doesn't matter what age, but they were all still living at home. And I can safely say they lacked common sense and street smarts. It was like they were thick. And I'm sorry, but they were brainy in other ways, book smarts or whatever. But like the basic common sense, they just didn't have it because their mother was more or less wiping their fucking arse for them. I'm sorry. I said that before about young lads staying at home in later in life. I met a Croatian guy. Well, I had loads of Croatian friends. And it was morning after a party, and we were still at the house at the session, and there was a 20, I think he was 25, and he was cooking breakfast, and he was cleaning the counter and all this kind of stuff. And I kept looking at him. I was like, what age did you say you were? And he was like, I'm 25. I was like, Jesus, Irish young lads can't wipe their arse without their mothers. Do you know what I mean? This is the way it's gone, and that's the way it is. And it doesn't even just be young lads. It's women as well. I've seen it. A woman that still lives at home in their early 30s, and they lack absolute common sense. The reason being, and this has happened to me obviously in the codependent relationships, you lose your brain. You fucking lose it because your fucking parent or your partner is literally wiping your fucking arse. It gets to that stage where you can't even butter a slice of bread without going, did I do that right? And you lose all of your confidence because you're literally depending on that other person to validate what you fucking did. And then you stop doing things adventurous. You stop taking risks. You stop doing something for you because you're afraid that you'll do it fucking wrong, or you're afraid to do anything on your own. And it comes to any kind of relationships, even friendships. Like, are you saying yes to things that you should be saying no to? Are your friends only inviting you places because you're the designated driver? That you're the one driving around all the place because you say yes all the time and you're available all the time? Like, what are they going to do when you say no? Or would you say no? Because you're so dependent on them liking you that you're like, oh my God, I'll do everything for you. And like, oh Jesus, I've done this before myself. You know what I mean? You're the one who gives everything to these friendships. And you take a step back and you're like, hold on now a second. Are these people just using me because I'm driving? Are these people just using me because I bring so much to the table? Do you know what I mean? Am I just being a yes man for my friends? And is that the reason they're actually asking me to go to these places? Like, because guaranteed, if you said no, they'd just go, all right, whatever, we'll find somebody else. And I had to say, that's the reason I walked away from certain relationships, friendships, is what I mean. Is that I was like looking at it going, I'm putting my heart and soul into this. I'm saying yes to this all the time. I'm putting myself out there. I'm making an effort in our friendship. And I take a step back because I start to realise, hold on now a second. Am I actually doing everything here for this person and this person wouldn't do shit for me? So this is awareness of the kind of relationship dynamics or friendships that you're in. Like, you know, it gets to the stage where you realise that you're actually doing everything for other people. And these people are just dependent on you because you're a yes person. That's it, like. You know what I mean? You're available all the time. So are they actually asking you because they want you? Or want you there? Or are they asking you because you say yes all the time? Because you'll do the thing that they want. Because you're the only one with the car. You're the only one that will bring the shit to the table. Do you know what I mean? Or make that effort. And that's the thing. Look at your relationships. Look at your friendships. Are you losing yourself being around people who do not respect you? Who are literally stealing your life force energy because you just say yes all the time? Are you so needing to be liked or loved by other people that you're losing yourself and you're hiding yourself in the shadows? Can you be who you truly are in front of these people? Or are you walking on eggshells? Are you pretending to be something you're not? All of these are all signs of codependent relationships. And how do you take your power back? First of all, you realize what's going on. You ask yourself, am I feeling good around these people? Am I being myself around these people? Am I putting effort into these people? And are they giving me equal, reciprocation? And that's the thing, I'm always giving. I love giving. I don't give in order to receive. But a true friendship or a true relationship of any kind is equal. You should be giving as much as you're receiving. And that's not you only give to receive. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, are you putting so much effort into your friends or family and they would not do the same for you in return? I'm not saying you have to get that in return, but this is what a true friendship is. It goes both ways. Are you over giving where you should be giving to yourself? Are you saying yes to them when you should be saying yes to yourself? Are these people preventing you from moving forward with your life? Because that's the biggest one. Sorry, triggers. That's the biggest fucking one. I've lost myself so fucking completely to my dad and to my fucking exes, I'm sorry, that I lost all sense of self, all ambition, and all will to fucking live. I used to go for job interviews when I was with my ex. He encouraged me to not work. And I was so nervous and lacked confidence or self-worth in these interviews that I never got any of these jobs because I was afraid, because he made me believe that I was a worthless piece of fucking shit. That's why. And that I lost so much confidence and ambition. And then when the codependency happened with my dad, I got to that stage again, and it got to the stage where I had stopped putting effort into myself. I had rashes all over my face. I looked and felt like shit. My immune system was gone to shit. I kept getting, weaknesses and illnesses. And it just wasn't, and I lost myself. I lost my purpose. I lost my passion. I lost who I was again. And I remember saying this in a different video, I'm a quirky person. I'm fucking weird. I make up words. I just do these weird random things. I say random things. I just love that part of myself. But when I'm in a codependent dynamic, I just go quieter, till I shut up, because these people tell you to shut the fuck up as well anyway. So that was for me anyway. And I remember my dad saying one of the things that I used to say, and I was like, nearly 2 years had gone by since I said it, and I was like, shit, where the fuck have I gone? Where am I? And that's when you really know. You can actually look at yourself and say, this is not who I am. I'm existing. I'm not living my life. I've lost my personality. I've lost every sense of self. I've lost the fucking capabilities of using my brain. And I've lost the confidence to do anything on my own. I need somebody with me all the time because I'm afraid to be on my own. So you end up becoming more dependent on other people using you because you're afraid to do anything on your own. So these are all things to ask yourself. Are you really living for you? Have you lost your voice and your personality? You have to take a look at your relationships. Are you giving more than you're receiving? Are your relationships equal? Or are people just using you because you say yes all the time? Try saying no. Try saying yes to yourself. See what happens. If these people really give a shit, they'll respect your boundaries. If they don't, let them go. Don't get locked into somebody else's life. This is your life. Start living for you again. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I'd love nothing more than to help on your path.